Welcome to the most hated show in the black corner of the internet. This is your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and this is July 8th, 2019. And this is what's on the menu today. You decide that you would try to put your mother, since I guess you can keep her with you, that you found another place to dwell, some kind of facility, and you make arrangements and you make a payment. Then lo and behold, about maybe a month later, come to find out, kicking mama out. Check that story out. Well, did you see the story about shorties that went in as a, what they call a flash mob, right? You know, when it's a bunch of us, 3, 4, 5 of us put together, they call it mob action. So it's a flash mob when we all go up in the store. Check out how that turned out. Well, again, as black people of the United States, we're trying to find a way to unify collectively and bring some stability amongst us. Again, we still got a lot of work to do. But there was one community I seen on the story that said that they decided that, well, since the administrations of the facility of the department won't do anything about it or have no real way to get in contact, they created this as an apparatus to deter or use as a weapon against that which supposedly serves and protects the community. Check out this story. Well, if you should happen to live in the state of Kentucky, Kentucky is about to pass you don't need to have a concealed carry license. Now, again, for a lot of us may not be living in Kentucky, but I found some information in there that I thought that should be known to us. And then you can see in your state and how that applies. Have you ever heard of, well, check the story out as we get to it. Did you hear about the cat that was in Hawaii? Name is Char. Mark Char had did some things on the road rage that goes back to 2016. Pepper spraying, stabbing mugs up, right? And his trial has come before the courts, and he feel like he ain't getting a good, fair trial. So he decided to have this grandiose idea to come there with his face all blackened up. Check this story out. I got another story about on an airplane on the Black Airlines where maybe it's a sister, she could be BADOS, but she is of color, of melanin. And a white woman sitting next to her decided she didn't want her sitting next to her. She became very offended. And check out this article on this story. Another story is in D.C. where an off-duty cop and a civilian got into an altercation, not knowing that the man was an off-duty cop, shoots and kills the man. Prosecutor of the Washington, D.C. side, we're going to drop the charges. Check out this article. Again, this is Black Minds News. This is the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. And this channel is to report, articulate, transmit, transcribe, insinuate, inspire. Whether we get it from websites, news articles, or from the web, we bring it to you. We give honor to the Creator. Why? Because the truth don't need no partner. As a descendant of the greatest people who created this land that they call the United States, we give honor to our ancestors. You know what my motto is? I'm never going to tell you what I heard. I'm only going to tell you what I know. Stay tuned for this broadcast. Hey, how's y'all doing? This is your host, the whiteologist, Mr. Blows Your Mind, coming with another show. July 8th, 2019. Closing in on 1 month of the 90-day ban they got me on, but just persevere. We gonna get through it. First and foremost, I want to say those who should be happy to be subscribers to the tape show. What's good, fam? Once again, trying to keep these shows going on the daily. You know how much I fight just to get it going. I'm actually cutting them down if you're not noticing. So I'm probably start doing about maybe 2 shows a day. Cut it down instead of having a 2-hour, 3-hour show. I can cut it down to maybe 1, 2, 3 different shows, right? So I can get out more information. So, again, I want to first and foremost thank you for being a subscriber to the show. And maybe you might be one to get picked for Subscriber's Choice. What you have to do is send in an article that you want to have presented on the show. As you see on your screen, you'll see where it can stop at the Dropping Serious Minds at gmail.com if you want to send something in. Now, passerbys, if you should just happen to stumble across and go against all the odds of finding this dead end show that they got hidden on the internet, and you like what you hear, welcome. There's always a grand opening over here. You can go in the library, see something you might like. You might just see something you might just don't like. What you can do is hit the dislike button. I'll send my supervisor out to you. We'll spit a couple syllables to you. Maybe we can get you to return to find out that maybe what you thought you heard or what made you upset is not really the real issue. It's just one of the issues of many that we have as being BADOS or ADOS, which is Black Americans, descendant of slaves of this land. And welcome to the most hated show on the black corner of the internet. Now, let's get into the show. Let's see here. Now, see, I got this thing over here because I'm trying to keep it going. But see, I mean, I don't understand why I went to that. That's just ridiculous. This thing does a lot of its own. Well, not quite a lot. So let me go ahead and start that off. Boom. Right? All right. So, again, as you heard in the intro there, I talked about, having, again, I think it's something that we all may have to go through at one point in time, something we kind of, unless you're prepared, again, you have $1.7 million, they said, is what you need to be fully economically to be retired, right? They say about $1.7 million. You got $1.7 million tucked away, you pretty much can ride out the sunset and not go through much. But if you should happen to have to be put in a facility, which, again, we kind of learned that, right? I think traditionally when they say going back to the continent that, it's an honor to raise and have the elders amongst you and, have the days and so forth that you be the one that care for them. But again, because a lot of this Western understanding and mindset that has permeated most of us, we kind of take the same route they do, which is, again, they used to have laws that said that, again, there's vagrancy or if certain parts of history, if you couldn't work or you was disabled, they say, well, you might as well just go ahead and off yourself, right? But that's the mentality they're coming from. So here was a situation I seen. I was doing some scouring, looking for stories and stuff, and I came across this. So let me show you this, and then we should be right back. Check this out.
Number 5 tonight, a terminally ill mother is in desperate need of a place to stay after being kicked out of her group home. We're told the city shut it down on Hollywood Street in Dearborn. 7 Action News reporter Jen Sean spoke to her family, who's now pleading for answers.
Well, it's all very strange. This supposed group home on Hollywood Street has a notice up from the city that says it's violated code and can't be occupied for the time being. The notice went up this morning, and that's when Derek Kirk says he got a call from his mother saying she had no place to go.
My mother has a terminal illness that needed around-the-clock supervision.
After a series of referrals, Derek Kirk and his siblings brought his mom here in May to a supposed group home on Hollywood Street in Dearborn. According to Kirk, they paid a man around $1,000 a month cash and got handwritten receipts to care for his mom and drive her to appointments.
He made us believe and think that everything was okay. We had no reason to believe anything other than what he was telling us.
Until Tuesday, when the city put up this notice. The home is temporarily shut down and must be inspected before it can reopen. It's unclear why the home closed, but in a note from the inspector, it says the home can't be occupied. In hindsight, Kirk says his mother, now staying with his brother, did have some concerns.
and she had an issue with being left alone, and sometimes she would be left alone to care for the other patients.
And since this notice went up,
He's disconnected his phone number.
we tried to reach the man as well.
Please leave your message for...
Kirk and neighbors tell us several patients had to leave the home Tuesday.
There was 3 people, I believe, inside from this morning, including there was a quadriplegic in there.
Kirk, who is still waiting on answers, has this warning for others.
Check everything you possibly can before you sign up with these homes, because it's so many unlicensed homes that are out here that you won't know because they are fully staffed and they have all the equipment and it looks exactly like legit group homes.
Now, we've reached out to the Dearborn Police Department and have not heard back yet. We are expecting to learn much more about this developing story, and we'll keep you posted as we have new details. In Dearborn, Jen Shantz, 7 Action News.
All right, so we see that there in Hollywood, Dearborn, right? And at least that's the street that this is on, right? And so we see that again, family decided that they was trying to get some assisted living for their mother. Now they said the mother's terminally ill, so I don't know if that is a good alternative for you to be putting your mother in some kind of facility like that. If she's terminally, that means she kind of needs some, around the clock care, right? I would think that, just thinking about it. Again, maybe, again, like I said, this westernized mentality that many black people got, $1,000 a month is a lot cheaper than probably having the person. Again, if you want to look at it from that standpoint, again, that's a Western mentality. It's all about the dollar, right? And so if you really have love and true care for the individuals that you are trying to find that for, it would be best for them to somehow make arrangement to have somebody come into your home. But again, I know some people, they want their freedom. They got certain type of different situation. Could be they'll have their own. But it seemed like in this situation, the brother ended up bringing the mother into his place of residence. And as we see that, again, they paid $1,000, right? Depending on where you live, that's almost pretty much, you can probably get a place for $1,000. But again, you need round-the-clock care. And again, I'm not sure as to what circumstances is, again, because I think if you Social Security and stuff like that, I think they have a way where you can get somebody to come in and they can make some money as into, providing some kind of assistant care, if I'm not mistaken. Now, different states is going to do different things, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong about that. But there's ways that you probably could do it, or everybody rotate as family according, again, like I said, we're westernized, too preoccupied. Some of us have to work more than one job. There's other circumstances, situations that may hinder. And so, again, like I said, the way it used to be, at least at one time, it was kind of a privilege to have that honor that you were the one that goes to. But again, like I said, we're westernized now, Western mind, so that's not where it goes. So here it is that somebody in the capitalistic society decided they're going to make this as a business. And so, again, as we heard some of the neighbors talking about quadriplegic, and they had all the other patients and stuff. So it seemed like to him, if you got 3, 4, 5 people, $1,000 every month, you understand, you making some, you're making some people might think it's some nice money, but you're not providing the proper care that is necessary, afforded for people who are paying, if that's what your facility is supposed to have been about. It's a kind of a group home. Again, somehow the city was informed to know, maybe again due to the simple fact that black might be. We didn't see who the rest of the patients is, but again, we seen the neighbors. It was a white cat, right? But we see the brother was Derek Kirk, and his mother, right? Matter of fact, I can give you a visual. Let me give you a visual of them, right? Let me show you them since I'm talking about it, right? So you see Derek Kirk and his mother there, right? There was the picture that they showed on the screen there, and didn't specify exactly what her ailments is, but we see that the brother is trying to do what he can. Obviously, he may not have the economics of the stability to provide her the home care, and a lot of that due to us being BADOS in this land, and all that we have not garnered through Homestead Acts, redlining, and so forth. The whole history that this it can get to this type of points where we're going to be going through these situations a lot. Now, some people, again, depending on their grind and their hustle and how much ass you done kissed, you might not have to go through that. But some other people, again, just been long lineages of field niggas. We going to be going through this road somewhere in our lives. Hopefully not in the worst way, but it can happen. So we see that, again, somebody decided going to make this their business, right? And so, he went and pulled out the receipts. Now, again, when I looked at this receipt, I was kind of like, okay, it says, he's taking says $880 on 6/1/19, right? And somebody, Gloria, for Mother's Day, and still was $100 more to be added to it, right? Maybe it was $120, right? So it's $1,000, but according to that you didn't even have full payment on there, and that was in June, and this story is breaking in July. So that's why I came up with about less than a month. So again, as you learned the lesson now, to find out that it's better to do your due diligence and figure out all that before you decide signing up. But again, how legit is that if that's the receipt that they have? Where's the official receipt that will be stamped and approved? If he's licensed, shouldn't he have some kind of thing that you get, what I'm saying? It's just like some paper that y'all wrote. So again, lackadaisical on y'all part, and then this situation, again, we not going to sit here and hark on the fact that, the inconvenience that it might cause, but obviously you had a place for her to go. But if you would have gotten a situation where she didn't, then it would have been like, okay, everything would have fell on you, because again, you should have did all that before prior making those arrangements. So lesson here to be looked at is, again, when people say, when we talk about reparations in this land and seeing that what black people have gone through, I don't understand how people can't see that the long, not giving, being deprived of, and again, allowing other people to come and undercut us to pay low and not give all the benefits has its detriment, again, our people. Again, medical costs, you get ill, you don't have money, it's probably not the best situation for a person to be in. And this country seems like it's gearing more towards that. So what happens when you start getting a lot of people who become terminally ill, don't have the proper medical insurance and things, or I ain't gonna say proper, but medical insurance for you. So it's gonna get real ugly. And so and for that sense, I just brought this story just to bring some awareness to it, that that story there with that sister and that brother. But this is gonna be, because again, as I've been showing you, the epidemic of people becoming homeless is going rampant in this land, and it has our face on it. So just to bring some awareness to it, and moving to the next story. All right, so again, like I say, us being who we are in this land, right? And you built up with a insatiable appetite for materialism, right? I mean, we're in a capitalistic society, right? You're in a capitalistic society. And from as long as you have any memory as a child, you watch TV. TVs is always soliciting you, right? Always enticing you. Look, don't you want to eat this? Don't you want to drink this? Don't you want to go here? Don't you, you know what I'm saying? So, as a shorty, you just see it. You're not understanding how, economics and money and work and what it takes to, you just see, say what they say, champagne tastes water money. But, you grow up like that until you start understanding how to earn, and when somebody tell you no. And so when you grow up as BADOS in this land, and a lot of stuff you've been deprived of, opportunities and accessibilities and education and so forth. So you grow up with a thirst and a hunger. So again, when somebody throw, crumbs to rats, they're all going to scour and try to fight for them crumbs. And again, that would have been a drug game. But see, if you're legalizing everything and making everything where it's like, okay, you killing that game. So what happens when you kill the drug game? For those, again, that was the crumbs for the rats. And now they don't have the accessibility of that anymore, because it's not the demand, because you killed the demand, because now people can get it or have access to other people, so they don't have to go down to the hoods anymore. They're getting it from CVS and pharmacies and Walgreens and shit like that, right? So it's killing the game. So now they can't make the money in a hustle. So, why would you rob where you live at? Because, again, people around you ain't got no money. So somebody's thought about, hey, let's go up here and let me show you this, and let me tell you what I think after I see it. But let me show you. And be right back. Check this out. And be right back.
A popular outdoor apparel company becomes victim to a flash mob at a costly price. This surveillance video shows a group of 10 people rushing through a North Face store in Wisconsin. They began stealing an estimated $30,000 in merchandise in under 30 seconds. No one was hurt in the clothing heist.
All right. So they said 10 brothers went into a Nordstrom in Wisconsin. Right? All those who grew up again used to watch the Westerns. They said they went in there like a heist. Oh, matter of fact, the 70s. A lot of the shows back then, it was bank heist. Right? These heist. Right? So, again, you've been created as a permanent consumer, right? In they would call a merchant's land, a land of trades and goods. You have been designated as a consumer. And what happens when a consumer don't have the economics to consume or to buy, to purchase? They still have the appetite. You still branded them with all the subliminal commercials and messages, and you propagandize a lot of the imagery that if you're not this, then you're not, again, your self-worth or your self-esteem is low. So what happens? I got to have it, right? I got to get it. So, maybe it was an inside job, because I sure didn't see no employee. I didn't see no security, right? All I know is I seen what they showed, and people went in, started grabbing racks, and they was up out of there. Now, again, like I said, in this day and age with all this camera, I think everybody, to the fact that cameras are so common, they don't even care about the fact. Just hopefully you don't get a good look at me and it can identify me. But most of them that came up in the way they turned, you was going to get a good look. And again, to catch one, you know how the game is. A lot of people out here, a lot of the streets tricking. You would think that's not what the game, but that is, again, cut that deal. So, catch one, going to catch two going to catch four going to catch 8, right? So, again, it looks bad, but again, you got to remember this is breaded in. People been breaded to be part of this capitalistic system, even though they don't have money. And not to have money and to feel poor and to feel outcast, other people, can grow up and that doesn't have any effect on them. Again, I'm not a materialistic person, so that would never been my issue, right? But those who grown up, again, have to have the latest and the stylish and all that good stuff. And you get to that rut in that road when you can't get, then again, this is going to be the road you will end up taking. Now, I'll give you a personal story. I remember one time we were going to hoop and stuff. We went to the gym again. It's about 15, 20 of us. So we came from my neighborhood, went to another neighborhood and hooped in there, had open gym. So we come back. Now, you know how it be. A couple people may got a couple dollars in their pocket. Maybe $5, $10, $20, right? We shorties at this time. We somewhere between, we about 16. Again, we most of the cats that I rode with, we went into the heat, we'll put it this way. We went hustling to make the $1 million, right? We never thought about like that, right? So he did a little stuff. But anyway, so one day I go in the motherfucking store, we all in there. So I guess everybody it was kind of a spur of the moment situation. I guess you would have called us a flash mob at this day. So I go up in this little bodega store, go up in there, and I'm buying me, I think, about pop or some chips and some shit like that. And, I'm in the front, and I go up there. Next thing you know, everybody just, and motherfucker grabbing racks, Hostess cakes, racks of chips, You know what I'm saying? Just going ballistic, right? And I'm sitting at the front, you know what I'm saying, finna pay my man. He like, you the leader. You're the leader. I'm looking at this motherfucker. What the fuck is you talking about? I know you're the leader. I'm like, oh shit. So get that shit. Fuck it. Let's go. Let's break. We got to break. This motherfucker is putting me to the crime. I had no idea you niggas was gonna do this shit. But so I'm running with him. We all run back. We run back to a boy house. We laughing and shit, eating the shit. And again, that's what you do when you teenagers sometimes, right? You do fuck shit, as they say, right? You do a lot of fuck shit. And again, you know, they have insurance, right? In a way, if you understand how a store work anyway, right? They get paid on the sale, right? Those companies come in there and they kind of like renting space in there, and then for every product, you know, they make their cut and so forth and things like that. So it don't really hurt him. He just gonna have to prove the fact that what took place, and hopefully he had cameras or whatever. He called police, they made a report or whatever, that might have covered him. But that's gonna happen when you're around people who are poor. You got a store, you don't even got something to eat and people hungry, where do you think they gonna go at? They coming where you at. This is what this capitalistic country has bred it. You know what I'm saying? All you can eat. Think about that. People around the motherfucking world hungry than a motherfucker. You can go in a place, pay $6.99, $7, $8, and you can eat as much as the fuck as you want. But you can't take shit home. But you can eat as much as you want. And here motherfuckers out here starving. Right? So I guess that's why everybody say, I don't see everybody trying to come in. Yeah, they come here to hear about them buffets and shit. Motherfuckers eat all this, like, thinking like gold, roads paved with gold, and it's everything, champagne falling out the faucets for water and all that shit. That's what they think. Can you imagine if you didn't know what this was and somebody told you about that? Wouldn't you be fantasizing and dreaming shit like that until you get here? And again, that's what's funny is people that come here seem to talk shit about us like they got the game down pat. We've been here this whole damn time. We trying to tell you that shit ain't what it is, homie. That ain't what it is until they figure out the damn game. But by that time, they done replaced you and got somebody else new. But that's just how the game goes, right? So that's what the shorties is. They trying to find their way, they little niche in here, and they gonna do what they can while they young, because otherwise they gonna get, you know, won't be just like licking the damn ice cream and getting a slap on the damn hand. They gonna put your ass and try to put some time and make you make some of that money for them corporations they got behind them jail cells. So it's moving on. All right, so let's see what I got here. I got this one here, local group. Decided to do some things. Again, they got some issues with some police officers or a history of some police doing some craziness in their community. So they decided to do this. Check this out and she'll be right back.
There is a new hotline tonight for alleged victims of police sexual assault and abuse in Kansas City, Kansas. KCTV5's Emily Sonovic joins us live in KCK, where community activists say they have to do this because the police department and the city refuse to take action. Emily?
Yeah, Brad, right now you have some of those community activists, faith leaders, members of this KCK community. They're out canvassing, going door to door, trying to tell everybody they can about this hotline. A hotline they say should have been set up a long time ago. We're talking about at least more than a year ago when the scandal first broke about retired police detective with the KCK Police Department, Roger Golubski. More than a year ago, again, that scandal broke. He was accused of sexually assaulting and abusing women, often in the black community, all in an effort to coerce them into false testimony, sometimes leading to wrongful convictions, including the murder conviction of Lamont McIntyre. He has now been released and is exonerated. Well, today, the More Squared group spoke at Grandview Park Presbyterian Church, explaining why they say there is a need for a hotline for alleged victims of Golubski and other officers. Abuse, they say, went on for decades. One of the speakers today was Eric Calvin, who says his brother is sitting in jail going on 17 years right now for a crime he did not commit. And he blames KCK PD corruption.
I believe that this hotline, it will bring out more people that are scared to speak out, more people that are afraid of the police, who they are intimidated and scared to go into silence. That's a big common feeling in Wyandotte County, fear of the police. It's a lot of people that fears the police, and because of what they know that Wyandotte County Police can do to you and get away with.
So the KCKPD did release a statement today in response to this hotline being launched, saying basically they take all police complaints seriously and they do already have an operating hotline. Again, right now, an already operating hotline. To read their full statement, just go to our website at kctv5.com. You can also read more about that hotline that was announced today. Reporting live in KCK, I'm Emily Stanovic, KCTV5 News.
All right, so we see in Kansas City that the community decided they're going to put together their own kind of hotline due to the simple fact that they've been having some rogue police. And one in particular name was Roger Galupsi, I think his name was, right? And it looked like, again, targeting the underprivileged and the unprotected is an easy job. That's why it's like sometimes when you hear a lot of our brothers and sisters who talk about how they, the street and how they rip and run and do stuff and terrorize really somewhat of the community is due to the simple fact that there's no protection for the community. When you call on the department trying to get something resolved and the department is, dragging its feet, or when it is a rogue, police officer doing things that is detriment to the community, who do you call? You know what I'm saying? When the system is, again, said, who watches the watcher, right? Meaning, if I got an issue with an individual in a department, and yet I can't call the department to do anything as to try to either come to some understanding or to reprimand or whatever it may be, that it gets blocked or deterred or just ignored altogether, and yet they know, because again, it's like saying, for instance, when they talk about calling it anonymously, right? There's always fingerprints, right? So ain't nothing really anonymous to shit. And so, somehow, people, they tricking or telling, as we say, snitching, and then somehow come to find out that how the fuck this person who ended up snitching, telling to try to get somebody apprehended, come to find out through, the grapevine, word got back that it was you that told. That's why you have people that don't get involved, because the same system that's supposed to be protecting will be the same one that tell, because again, you might be hindering somebody's business who was playing both sides of the fence. And so what you see here, there has been a situation where a particular individual, again, was, using his authority to, sexualize and also to get false testimonies and put people and get them locked up. And you seen there was a brother there named Lamont McIntyre, had been in jail for 17 years. You hear the brother that was sitting there saying that the reason why a lot of people don't really try to, call and make any kind of complaints is because, again, the fear of police officers. Again, I talked about the last show about how the system now realize that the police now is like, you can't check them because this is your front line. So they have to find a way to always to protect them, because otherwise they allow things to happen to them. So what happens now when they just out of control and nobody can really check them? This is going to be rampant. You're just giving somebody, again, a little bit too much power. Maybe that's not the way you originally did it, but now that's to that point that now the citizenry is trying to find ways to combat that in their own way. So I believe that this is a good thing, that the community and other communities may need to look at this too as well, as having hotlines, a way to have people, again, activists, community leaders, people who are part of the church, and let them handle these situations and go through the proper channels and get some kind of retribution for, to right some of the wrongs that are happening. Because otherwise, no one is watching the watchers, and then it's like they're getting away with so much. But again, they're going to hold you to the letter, but they can't be held to the letter. So again, there's just some information again about some stuff that's going on. Every city has it. That's just Kansas City. Wherever you might be, it might be where you at. And again, this is some of the things we have to come together as a community and start trying to bring some unification to protect ourselves. Again, we're still trying to fight. Again, a lot of people don't even understand. Black people only been somewhat what you would call civiled in this system since 64, 65, right? Think about that. So we're only about 53 to 54 years that we've only had some what you consider part of the system. That's nothing for people that, again, you commemorate 1619, talking about 400 years, and only got about less than 55 years of actually having and still fighting to get some part of equality in the system. So again, the only protection we're going to get is the only protection that's going to come from us and making certain aspects and moves that we have to do to protect us and our community. Yes, we got a lot of other elements going on, and you and those going to have to figure out that you can't bring that kind of, because again, you can't mix those together because they don't mix well. Either have designated areas where you do this and allow that to be there, but don't bring that to infiltrate amongst those who are just trying to live in an environment and trying to survive. All right, so we're going to move on, right? Moving on. Well, since we're talking about protection, right? Let me show you this here, right? Yeah, let me do this one first, and then we'll come back and let me show this first. Let me do this for those who might be in and be right back. Check this out, y'all.
Starting Monday, background checks will be required to purchase ammo in California. Some gun owners are flocking to stores to buy ammo before that date, before the new law takes effect. CBS 13 reporter Michelle Gili is at a gun shop in Southern California tonight.
We started that clock at day 90, and it's down to 4.
The countdown is on for what's being called Ammogeddon, a new law set to take effect Monday.
Questions, am I going to put on a watch list, and does it matter how much ammo I buy?
Greg Boslog, the owner of On Target in Laguna Niguel, has a big electronic board hanging inside of his firearms store and shooting range as a reminder to customers that the rules for buying ammunition are about to become stricter. Beginning July 1st, background checks are required.
You can buy a self-registration for $19, which means you fill out the forms, you go online, you can come in here, we do that for you. That's $19, that puts you in the system. Then each time after that, you have to pay $1 to buy ammunition.
That's $1 processing fee with each purchase if you are in the state database as an approved buyer. The new law aims to weed out felons and owners of illegal weapons.
The only people that you can really scrutinize are law-abiding citizens. We're the only one that register. We're the only one that have lived in the community any length of time. And it's very easy to find out if we have a criminal record or not.
There's been a rush to buy ammo at places like On Target as Monday gets closer. No one really knows how long customers might have to wait to be cleared. The software to run the background checks hasn't even arrived yet.
Right now, we were told just an hour ago that the software to do this process is supposed to be available 7 o'clock Monday morning. I have no training. I have no idea what it looks like.
All right. So again, that's in California, the first state, right? Biggest state, right? And so there's going into effect. It's already a week late, right? Already a week late. So it's already, for those in California, it's already too late, right? So you know how it always goes. If it starts in one place, it's going to eventually go everywhere else. So again, this information might be good for those. Again, you got to check your state and the laws that you are in to find out, because California, July 1st, they're going to have background checks for buying ammo, right? So that means that every time that, again, so now they, having records of everything that you purchased. Prior to that, you have people who had just, You know, again, they be having stories, and again, I did it many times on this show, where people have just stockpiled so much. And going back some years back, remember when they were talking about that the Homeland Security was buying up like, hundreds of millions of rounds of bullets, right? And so now it's like now that they making laws where it's going to be like everything that you purchase got to be recorded. So if you start buying a certain quantity amount, they're going to know. And then as you heard that one individual in the video say that, they had to put him on some kind of list. And next thing you know, you're having people knocking at your door about situations due to the simple fact that, again, people are buying. Again, we know when they're buying, again, as we being unprotected citizens in this nation, I'm going to show you some other stuff after that, right? So, again, the July 1st background check is starting in California. Again, depending on what state you're in, you better check your laws to find out, because, again, it starts in one place, it's going to move to another. And then you heard the individual say, well, it looks like, again, you say that these laws are to prevent felons and people who shouldn't have guns, but it look like it's more that you're going to be hindering people, scrutinizing them, the ones who's law-abiding citizens. They're the ones paying the dollar fee. They're the ones got to be in the database and all this other stuff. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Does it pay to be law-abiding? What he basically saying, well, shit, if I do all my shit and you don't know, then you don't know. But then there's another aspect to it. If you get caught up with it, then you have to deal with the ramifications with that. But it's like a damn you do and damn you don't, right? So again, law-abiding citizens trying to be upholding rightful citizens to the nation. But again, you trying to say, well, who you really monitoring, right? And so this is what they're really doing anyway. So it's like, here it is, they done already made this deadline, and yet the software for them to now, participate for that, those after the July 1st, they not only have that. So how did you expedite a situation? Because remember, they said in the beginning of the story, talking about, well, it was 90 days countdown, which was 3 months, and then you still are not ready for what you implemented. So it's like, why are you rushing to get this done? So again, those look into the story, you might have more questions than I have. Again, I try to shorten my show to try to put out more stuff, because most stuff is going to be happening. So again, if you're interested in it, check it out, because it's coming to a state near you if it ain't already there. Moving on. Well, let's look at this here, right? We got let's try this one, right? So again, as we talk about bullets, well, let's talk about guns. So check this out. I'll be right back.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Braun.
And I'm Cammie Deerking. Starting tomorrow, Kentucky residents can carry a concealed weapon without a permit.
The new law will turn the Bluegrass State into one of 16 constitutional carry states, they call them. Local 12's Megan Mongello is live with more on why people who deal with firearms are still urging people, though, to get trained. Right, Megan?
Well, that's right, Rob. And this new law will not change who is eligible to carry or the places you could carry it. Like, for instance, you can't take it into any prisons or government buildings like the one behind me in Kenton County. But if you are in Kentucky, you can now take your weapon, put it in your purse or your waistband, and not even have a permit. Jeff Chastain is a licensed CCDW card holder. He's also the owner of Not Today Firearms Training.
We teach safety at the beginning, middle, and end of the course.
Chastain says he's talked to instructors in other states where the law has changed, and it's brought a 30% drop in business because it's no longer a requirement to fill out this application, take a 6-hour training course, have a background check, and pay a $60 fee. Chastain is thinking about modifying the classes he offers, like a 2 or 4 hour course on safety. He says if you buy a gun, you need to know how to handle it.
We're not law enforcement. We don't have to make an arrest or anything like that. Our job is to protect our lives and our families. And most times that's done by getting out of a situation.
Another reason to get a permit anyway is that you'll still need it to conceal carry in Indiana and Ohio.
So what are you going to do? Take it out of your car or take it out of your waistband every time you cross the river?
Boone County Major Tom Shaban says deputies are now trained to expect that everyone is armed. He encourages people to say if they're carrying and where the weapon is up front, though it's not a law that Kentuckians have to.
The vast majority of people we deal with are law-abiding citizens. And of that vast majority, if they're carrying, they're on our side. And if they are carrying and they're not on our side, then they're probably not allowed to be carrying in the first place.
Again, starting tomorrow, which is July 1st, you do not need a CCW permit to carry a weapon in Kentucky. But if you cross the river into Ohio or go into Indiana, you do need that permit for now. Reporting live in Kenton County, Megan Mongello, Local 12 News.
Good information, Megan. Thanks very much. Today, an Ohio House committee approved a similar law to give Ohioans the right to carry concealed firearms with training or a license. The bill has been sent to the full House for consideration.
All right. So, see, in Kentucky, they're going to start allowing them to just have a gun. You ain't got to have no permit. You ain't got to be trained. You ain't got to know nothing about your gun. Just you can have one. Meaning all citizenry and bad guys got guns. Right? Is this the answer to all the problems? Right? Is this the answer? But there was something I wanted to bring out for those, again, avid watchers and subscribers of the show, those who watch the show. It says something that depending on what state you're in, but they had this word said constitutional carry, right? Did you ever heard that term, constitutional carry? They also call it like permanent, I think it's called permitless city or permitless carry, unrestricted carry, or they also call it, I think, Vermont carry too, right? And so this refers to the legal carrying of a handgun, either openly or concealed without a license or permit. The phrase does not typically refer to the unrestricted carry of a long gun or a knife or other weapons. The scope and applicability of the constitutional carry may vary by state. And the phrase constitutional carry reflects the view that the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution does not abide restrictions on gun rights, including the right to carry or bear arms. It said the United States Supreme Court had never extensively interpreted the Second Amendment to the landmark case District of Columbia versus Heller in 2008. Prior to this, a tapestry of difference and sometimes conflicting laws about carrying firearms developed across the nation. In deciding the case, the court found that the self-defense was a central component of the Second Amendment, and D.C. handgun ban was invalidated. The court further suggested that some states or local gun controls may be allowed. The Heller case was extended to the Supreme Court. In 2010, decision McDonald versus Chicago, which held that the Second and 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution were fully incorporated, and thus the right to keep and bear arms apply to the state and not in the watered-down version, but fully applicable. It limits state, local governments passing laws that restrict this individual and fundamental right to keep and bear arms for self-defense. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because, again, it's being BADOS or ADOS in this land, Black American descendant of slaves, Black African descendant of slave, American descendant of slaves, that you remember that they had laws where they prohibit black people from having guns. And even if you're a law-abiding citizen, depending on what state you're in, there's still a criterion before you can actually get it, right? And when you look at the jurisdictions that have constitutional carry, right? Like, let's say as of June 2019, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Idaho, but those are for residents only, right? You got to be a resident to be over there to have constitutional carry. Then you have Kansas City, we just talked about Kentucky, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri, New Hampshire, North Dakota are residents only, concealed carry only. Oklahoma is effective November 1st of 2019. You got South Dakota, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming. But if you look at a lot of those states that they're talking about, those are not areas where there's a predominant lot of us in those states, right? So it seems to be like, people in areas that have a dense population of one versus another are having it. So it's like this seems to be the mindset that people feel like they need to have, to feel like they need to protect themselves because they feel like somebody's after their ass. Who would be after you? Other than the fact that crime out here, and again, I guess as we talked about with the flash mob, about people who grew up deprived in a capitalistic system who has been propagandized and built in the mind to be having the champagne taste but got water money. Look at the places that these young ones are now will venture out because they know why. Again, remember when Chris Tucker did, for those who remember when Chris Tucker did on Def Comedy Jam, when he did that sketch about niggas was trying to rob me, he was only robbing me for practice, right? So think about that. Robbing black folks in the black community is really like practice. Once in a while you might get some information, know that somebody got some money somehow, okay, people might do that. But primarily, people ain't really got no real money. So what's going to happen is people are going to start turning and looking in other directions. And I guess they feel this is a way to deter, knowing that you're going to be in places that everybody carrying, right? So a situation before everybody shooting. So this basically be turning into some wild, wild west shit, right? And as we see, and again, you have to look in your state to find out about constitutional carry, right? There's only a few states left that really just have none. Illinois just start getting this, but it has a what we called Illinois. I think was one of the last holdouts, but now they're gonna have again concealed carry, but you have to have the permit. But again, they have the discretion whether they want to give it to you or not. So there still could be some bias in that too. But look like everybody who seemed to be gonna be able to be mount up and don't have no restrictions, look at the states. Again, go look under the Constitution carry and look at that and you'll see for yourself. So that's just some information I want to bring out for those who might be interested in something like that, right? So let's move on. What else I got? All right, so this one here I called, I'm going to go ahead and present this one. I'm going to actually give it to you, brother. Because when you sent this, I had already had it. I just hadn't brought it out, but I'm going to give you the credit for it, right? So let me pull it up here. And this is going to be considered, I call this segment here, the subscriber's choice, right? Right? That's what we're going to call this, right? But since you've seen that, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to play this. And then I'm going to do this. Hold this. Let's do this first. This segment I call is my subscriber's choice. It's when the subscriber will bring in an article and that I will present to the show. And first I'm going to give you the visuals to it and then we'll go into the article. Check it out. Hold on one second. Let me give me this. Let me do this too while we edit and let's get it.
Man found guilty of attempted murder and assault after a road rage incident on the H1 has been sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Mark Char must also pay $1,900 to one of the men he stabbed. During his trial, Char claimed he acted in self-defense when he says he stabbed 3 people on the freeway in August 2016. But the victims say Char was the one that kept braking in front of them. When they pulled over, he pepper sprayed them and then ultimately attacked them with a knife.
Mark Char has already burned through a total of a dozen attorneys over the course of years, causing trouble. Today, he took a new approach to gain sympathy and attention. It failed. Char colored his face with a black pen, saying he was being treated like a black man in court. Char was driving home to Eva Beach in 2016 when he started road raging other drivers, stabbing and slashing them. He was convicted of attempted murder and 2 counts of assault.
This was a case that you incited, that you provoked, that you almost killed an innocent motorist.
No, it didn't happen that way.
You cut off, the evidence showed, Mr.
There was no
Char.
evidence on my part. My lawyer failed to put in my video. He put no evidence on my behalf. None of my
Char,
evidence
the
was.
evidence showed.
None of my evidence was submitted.
Mr. Char, listen up.
Judge Todd Eden sentenced Char to life with the possibility of parole, 5 years for the second count and 1 year for the third, all to run concurrently. There are still issues of restitution, which he will be ordered to pay, but he'll have to have yet another attorney to help with those issues. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
All right. So again, I'm going to give the credit to the brother right here. I'm going to give the credit to you, Mr. Bernard Thomas, even though I already had the story before you did it, but I'll give it to you. You sent it in, so I'm going to go ahead and give it to you, brother. Now, all right, so we see the story there. This individual named Mark Char, who seemed like he got into a situation and, took it in matters in his own hand. Got the Mr. Miyagi was going to wax on and wax off everybody, right? He wasn't playing, right? You know what I'm saying? He got cut off. You know how people be in them cars, man. You getting all agitated and, taking shit out of, they don't necessarily need to be part of that, but they do it anyway. All right, so let me see if I can bring this up right quick. And I'll bring the story up here, and let me tell you about it. About the whole story they got there. Again, this is a subscriber's choice story. So we got in Honolulu, an Ahua man recently convicted for his role in the violent 2016 road rage incident delivered a bizarre racially charged rant during a sentencing hearing Monday while wearing blackface. Mark Char was found guilty in March of attempted murder and assault following a triple stabbing on the H1 freeway nearly 3 years ago. Char was accused of stabbing the victim following road rage confrontation, though testified during the trial that he acted in self-defense on the victims. One of the victims was stabbed 5 times and taken to the hospital in critical condition following the attack. Now, one thing I'm listening so far here on this story is it looked like, I don't know, did anybody die? Was anybody dead? Let me just see. I don't think nobody died, right? I'm saying I don't think nobody was dead. I think just people got stabbed up, right? So you see, he's calling this a kangaroo court too, right? I don't see nothing in the story talking about anybody had died. How do you get life in prison and you didn't kill anybody? So is he right about what he's saying? I mean, again, a lot of people was taking offense to the fact, and again, putting that ink in your skin like that, I don't think that's going to end well for you either, right? But I think his statement is that he's being treated as the same, like I guess everybody knows. It's not like, you know what I'm saying, remember the show that I did where the white dude was at the airport and they wanted to arrest him, and he was like, oh my God, you treat me like a black person, right? So it's commonly known that the way we as ADOS in this land get treated in the justice system and the unfairness and the biases that goes on, that again, the representation that here is Mark Char saying, you treat me like a black person, right? And is he mocking black people or is he trying to make a statement? Because again, like I said, when you look at this case, I'm not condoning the fact about him stabbing people, right? Again, like I said, people agitated, frustrated, You know, this Western civilization has got everybody on pins and needles, walking on eggshells, and, you know, to lash out at people just from driving and the frustration and getting to physical confrontation where people are getting seriously and critically hurt has no place in it, right? But is that life? Or is it because he was who he was and they was who they was? Now, was these people white? Like it was when you looked in that video, right? I didn't see nobody in the courtroom. So, you know, I think this is, again, it looked like he's you know, pro se, fighting his own case, right? And they ain't trying to hear that and giving him, he got like 1 or 2 years for the other stuff, but how did he get life? I'm still not understanding how he got life. I'm not seeing that anybody died. Maybe I'm not reading this right. I ain't seeing nobody, you know, I'm looking. Let me just read this out to y'all. It says, on Monday, during what was supposed to be a routine sentencing hearing, Char lashed out, taking aim at both his lawyer and the judge in the case during a nearly 3-minute long speech. Goes on, says that in it, he called his court-appointed attorney incompetent. Now, again, who don't know that, right? And claimed that he was not given a fair trial. Judge Todd Edens, the Kangaroo Court, but it was Char's appearance, not his words, that first garnered the attention of those involved in the proceedings. Char was wheeled into the courtroom wearing standard orange inmate fatigues, but his head appeared to have been intentionally darkened. A law enforcement source told KGMB Char is believed to have used a black colored permanent marker to pull off the offensive look, which dates back to minstrel shows of the 19th century. Now this Kangaroo Court is trying to give me a life sentence for me trying to protect and defend myself against an attack from 3 guys, and Essa treating me like a black man. Okay, so, again, I don't hear anybody dying. I hear he's saying that he has self-defense, 3-on-1. Now, I heard kind of in the video where they said, well, you the one pumping the brakes, you the one got out of the car. Okay, but how do you get life? I'm not understanding. How does a person get life in that situation? So, yes, the blackface is offensive historically. Is he trying to make a point, bringing attention? Because we're talking about it because of the blackface. And then, you know, they trying to use, yes, he's using blackface. It's very offensive. Is that what to bring some attention to his situation? Because, again, I'm looking at it, I'm reading it, you hear me. If you have any more inquisitive want to know, you'll go look. I'm still trying to figure out how he get life. Again, so then he's being railroaded. You understand? And he's trying to use the symbolism of his blackened face as to equate to the fact that this is the same way you treat black people, you're going to treat me the same way. Now, again, we're not going to say, wait a minute, you don't get no special treatment. You Asian, you ain't white. But then, you know, I know honorary in South Africa, they gave them that privilege of being white back in the 70s, right? But again, he making that reference. Now, some people will take it for what it is, and some people will take it for the other side. But again, I'm still trying to figure out how is he getting light. But it is what it is, right? So, you know, I guess as time go on, maybe that'll all be revealed later on. But I still can't figure out how you're getting light. All right, so I'm gonna move on. And that is Our Subscriber's Choice by Bernard Thomas. Okay. All right, we're getting down, because again, like I said, I'm cutting the shows down as much as I can, try to put out most stuff, right? So I got one more, I think, right? I got one more? Do I got one more? Did we get it all? Maybe we got it all. No, we don't. We don't got it all. We got this story here. Now, this story here is based on the simple fact, again, you know, it's kind of questionable. I can respect what they're trying to do in the message at the end, because again, we just looked at this brother, Mark Char, right? Well, look at this situation, Mark Char, and this is kind of what Procter & Gamble was talking about. So check this out. Be right back.
And as the latest push to promote its diversity efforts, Procter & Gamble is shining a light on the struggles of black men in a provocative film titled The Look. It tackles the unconscious biases that black men face in their everyday lives. Procter & Gamble's new diversity ad opens up with a black man lying in bed, puzzled about life. It then follows his daily routine of walking his son to school. When his son waves at a little girl in the backseat of a car, her mother, seemingly bothered, rolls up her window. The father heads to work and is clearly ignored while walking to the elevator with a deep stare. In this scene, he's looked at in disgust while teaching his son how to float in a pool.
It's really a bold step for a major corporation to take on an issue like this.
We spoke with Jewett L. Walker Jr., president and chairman of the board of the 100 Black Men of Los Angeles, outside his home in Culver City.
Everyone needs to be aware of the implicit biases that exist in our society, and I think that this goes a long way to waking people up to what implicit bias is.
Walker has mentored young African American men for decades and now leads the organization's local chapter, who is working to educate boys and men about the biases. So we wanted to get his take on the provocative ad.
It happens all the time and more often than we care to admit. One of the things that we do with our programming is let our young people understand that these are the things that await you outside of the community that you were raised in. And you need to be aware of the consequences of not responding properly when people show you that kind of bias.
The spot, however, does have some surprising and promising twists. Perhaps the most powerful scene is when all rise inside a courtroom. The assumption that the black man is a defendant entering the room is just that. It turns out he's the judge.
Until they put on that suit or they put on that robe or they put on that doctor schmuck, when they get ready to go out to their job, you're not aware of who they are or what they do. And it's unfortunate.
And you know, that was a moment for me. I was like, please don't let him be the defendant. And then you have that surprising twist at the end. It's so important to have this conversation. Procter & Gamble, they actually sent me a statement, and it says the first step to addressing any problem is having an honest talk about it. Whether or not you've experienced it yourself or you have no clue about the culture and what black men face every day, it's still something that we should be talking about just to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and feels welcome. And we want you to join the conversation about unconscious biases. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at CBSLA. Look for our post or just use the hashtag CBSLA on your own post.
All right, so Procter & Gamble put out an ad, and the ad is about really talking about implicit bias or unconscious bias, right? Again, the fabric that has been woven in this country is based on that, right? And that's this, even though people just say, well, we've come a long ways. But again, if the foundation of something that is built, like your house or apartment or wherever you live in, if it's got bad foundation on it, it's gonna be some period of time where that mug is gonna fall down, right? Okay. It's gonna fall down. And so in this case, it's not about falling down. It's in the case of it's the fabric woven that, again, these things keep rearing itself because it is the woven fabric of it. It is the fabric of this nation. And so to say implicit, right? Let's say, well, you know, you say well, implicit bias, right? So when you just think about implicit, you're just saying, again, the absolute, the perfect, complete, entire, whole, total, sheer, utter, unmitigated, unrestricted, unlimited, unqualified, categorical, unconditional, the variable, unequivocal, unambiguous, explicit, expressed, sure, assured, cocksure, confident, unquestioning, undoubting, unquestionable, right? I think I've done this in another show before. I had to talk about that same word again. I guess that's going to be the new phrase now, implicit bias. No, it is just the fabric woven of just who people just really is. And trying to lighten it with words is not going to change it, right? So Procter & Gamble put out this as a way to bring bring the conversation. Well, you don't need that because the Black Corner of the Internet has been doing that pretty well, to the fact that in the Democrats' mouth was talking about, or got to the point of talking about bringing the commission and talking about reparations. Yeah, there's organizations that's been out here long before what's happened on the internet. And we're not trying to belittle none of that. But that black corner had did something that they could not do. Yes, you may have boots on the ground. Yes, you've been out here and you have time. You have a long tenures of times and people that have come and gone and that. But could not get the breakthrough. And the black corner internet has gotten that breakthrough. And so people got to recognize that, again, some people say we talking too much. How could we be talking when, again, we only been in this game, a political game, for only less than 55 years, right? We only been in 13 elections, presidential elections, man. So everybody get this thing all twisted up and talking, again, and the newer generations really don't have a real clue. They talk from a perspective of really not knowing. The game has been, rearranged in a way that they can't really identify everything that some of us, Generation X, baby boomers are going back, know what it is, right? And so what Procter & Gamble did is they put this ad out. Again, it said the young man, the brother wakes up. He's puzzled about life. Black men waking up every day, yeah, it's always a puzzle because, again, you don't know. Leaving your house that day could be the last day. You never know who you may get in confrontation with. Whether it be police, maybe somebody in the community. Could be a whole lot of things. From A, B to C and D back. You understand? Is life always something that we as black men have to always be thinking about. So you see him with his son. Son sees somebody from the school in the back car trying to get a little way to the little white girl. The mama see it, rolls the window up again because why? Who is? Mama. I don't want you talking with him. I don't want you dealing with them. But the brother, the little ones don't know, but the brother know. We know what it is. We deal with it on a day-to-day basis. Not saying that sisters don't either. They do just as well. But a system is more, geared towards black men because, again, mano on mano, man on man, right? Not that sisters can't have their, value to be, a cog in this system, but you still are feminine. Yes, you can work out and all that stuff, but you're still female. And so this is a man's thing when it comes to war. Yes, women you can be put in a uniform and get out there on the field and fight and all that, but that's not really the place. And again, has nothing about male chauvinistic. This just what it is. You can be a part of that, but it's supposed to be a man's war if there's gonna be a war, right? And so black men understand that. He's your first defense if he could get in his right state. But due to all the obstacles he's been through, he can't provide that the way he should because he's always been in this incarcerated position. And so what you see is that he goes in the elevator. And as you know, sometimes you get to the elevator closed, and the people, all of them that was up in there, was looking at him like, nigga, get your ass out of here. I don't want you in here no way. You know what I'm saying? And he could feel that energy. Sometimes some words unspoken are said just as loud as not even being said. The looks, the gestures, the smirks, right? We read all that. When you conscious, you read all that, right? Being in the pool with your son, teaching your son how to, swim. But again, this old stereotype about black people being in the pool, make the pool disease and dirty, going all the way back to Dorothy Dandruff and a lot of other people. As a matter of fact, what was the movie that Bernie Mac and them made? Pride, right? That's how that started. He came to coaching them, and right? That's all that old stereotype ass bullshit. Right? But again, we understand it. Again, that's why some people don't understand when we talk about when a candidate comes, and then we're vetting. After they had Barack Obama pull this wool over a lot of people's eyes, now to vet you and say, you know what? Talking about, Roland Martin was talking about having some kind of a, color test. It's not what it's saying. Somebody, your color test is not the issue. Black is going to be black all around the globe. But if a continent can have tribes, and people can come from other places and call themselves that, why is it that the people of the descendancy and historical aspect of this land can't say we as black Americans are distinct from, even though we might be family as black people, but we are distinct because of our historical history. The history that has gone on in here makes us different from you. We understand this game better than you. We live this. And even today, like I said, this situation here with the Procter & Gamble's doing, a lot of this stuff you can't understand. Even as some of our people who are younger, who have not gone through it, but through your caustic records of your DNA of being historically here, there's certain things that will trigger in you that you will understand just for the simple fact because those people that came before you lie in you. And so you have something that connects to this land that other people from their observation cannot understand what we go through. It's an innate thing. It's not something that you can just put on like a costume and just because you say, I'm black, that's not what we're talking about. You don't cut from the blood, sweat, and tears of the spirit of this land. We can read things. This is why everybody comes here to do what? They make them to so that you don't have to deal with us, right? So to now, to sum the whole thing up, they bring him in as the judge. Now, all them people that he was going across at that same time happened to be in this courtroom. And when they come in there, the person that they had all this problem with is the judge. Now, I myself don't buy into that shit. Because, see, let's look at this 100 black men, what they were talking about. And saying that, you know, he said something that I thought, again, I'll talk about that. But first, let me say this first. So, based on because somebody's job makes you have to respect them, fuck all that shit. You respect me because if I respect you, again, they say respect is not given, it's earned. If I haven't done shit to you to make you have to disrespect me, then you respect me on front, off key. But this bias ass shit, this racial ass shit, that's just the fabric of the nation. So you gonna say just because if I come in now that you find out that I'm a judge, now your respect changes, then you're not respecting me, you're only respecting my position. Fuck all that. You respecting me as the individual, as the black man. Period. You understand? And so this shit here, I didn't buy that shit with Procter & Gamble because again, I kind of think this is some kind of maybe a little bootleg kind of, you know, this bougie, the bourgeois ass motherfuckers. Again, I ain't got nothing against you. I'm just saying sometimes you're not going to see the shit for what it is. And so, again, if you think about something he said something that I thought, and I would play it, but I'm not. He said that, and you need, now he's talking about the ones that will see the young ones, and they need to be aware of the consequences of not responding properly. What? The consequences of you, the way you respond about a motherfucker treating you wrong. You, again, see, we're not in that shit no more. We're not saying we're finna go out here and be just like, you know what I'm saying? We're just gonna say, motherfucker, you dishing bullshit, I'm gonna catch that shit, I'm gonna throw it back to your ass. You understand? Now, certain situations will not allow me to be able to do that due to the simple fact that, again, the consequences, as you say, may be stacked against me. But if it's a situation, you're in the elevator and you're doing that shit, well, now, fuck you, motherfucker. I don't give a fuck, white motherfucker, or whatever the fuck it might be. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it might be. It's just the fact that, again, my job ain't got shit to do with the fact that fuck you need to respect me if I ain't done shit to you. If that's your bias, that's the shit you carry. I ain't got to carry your shit. And my consequences is based on the fact that I properly respond to you. Okay, well then now you telling me that these people are always going to be right. I ain't buying that. I ain't going with that. Your ass wrong, you motherfucking wrong. But I get why they do it that. You're a 501c3, right? They've been around since 63, but they didn't get established in 1987, and it was established in Atlanta, Georgia by Nathan Goldstein. So right there, it might be 100 black men, but when you set it up and the first president you got was not a black man, so you've been already infiltrated. So I understand why you saying the shit that they say, right? This is why you say the kind of shit you say. I'm not saying that young men are supposed to go out here and say things that are going to get them in a bad situation. I get what you're saying, but I'm not going to teach minds to be saying, well, motherfucker, it's the properly way you need to say that for the consequences. Then you teaching them now how to stand their ground and you know what I'm saying, to defend themselves. You making them be spineless. A motherfucker treats you a certain way under the circumstance, you have to evaluate. If this situation ain't for that, another time in another place, deal with it. But if it's a situation where just, again, we're just going back and forth, I'm going to give it to you like you dishing it. You understand? But each teacher's own. Everybody got their game the way they want to play it. Teach his own. Right? But that's just how it is. So that was that commercial. What they talking about with that, you can agree with it full wholehearted. You cannot be. I myself do not fully agree with it, right? So again, like I said, there's gonna be the short version show. Try and get out as much as I can, get as more out there as I possibly can. It is what it is. Again, this is the most hated show on the Black Corner of the Internet, trying to bring news to you that may be relevant, prevalent, and informative in its own form and fashion way. My job isn't to go through A to Z and everything, but it's just to bring it to awareness to you so that you can look at it, and then maybe you can look at it from different perspectives of your own. Again, I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Mind, and this is Black Mind News. Stay black, strong, and keep vigilant.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Remember, the enemy has only images and illusions, behind which he hides his true motives. Destroy the image, and you will break the enemy.
I'm here to tell you tonight that the businessmen, the mayor of this city, the police commissioner of this city, and everybody in the white power structure of this city must take a responsibility for everything.
Luther and I and everyone in this arena tonight are unified by the same great American values. We're proud of our country. We respect our flag. Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Race is when you use your power and influence to subject people into inferiority. Utterances can't be racist.
Look around you, man. They own this shit. They own this couch you sitting on, them shoes you got on your feet, this building, this school, this country, you. We're behind enemy lines, dog.
So you must first of all remember that this system was not originally designed with black people in mind. Right on. And it definitely was not prepared for black people to, in the end, begin to demand their rights and an equal share in this country which they died for. Right on. Hey, and we definitely are not going back to Africa.
In the church, we used to sing the song, Good News, the chariot is coming. While you sit here today, knowing that you have come to hear good news, you must realize in advance what good news for you might be bad news for somebody else. What good news for the sheep might be bad news to the wolf.
They say, oh, things are getting so much better for you. In 1849, it was hitting blacks on the head 100 times a day. In 1990, they hit them 48 times a day. Isn't it better? Oh, it's got to be better. You're saved 52 blows.
The only purpose of most black Americans on earth today is to destroy.
I think that's noble. Italians love Italians. When Irish love Irish. But when a nigga loves a nigga, it's an unpardonable sin.
They have blood in their hands. When we say they have blood in their hands, we are not saying him, George Bezos, went and killed. But white people colonized us. They dispersed us. They enslaved our people. They sucked our economy dry. They are still sucking it dry even today. That's white people. Tony Blair, George Bush, Napoleon Bonaparte, Leopold, Adolf Hitler, Benjamin Netanyahu. All white people, they are the same. They are racist and they are full of hate.
I've been waiting for you. You have many questions, and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent, you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Why am I here?
Our world is coming crumbling down. The coons are coming.
You got to understand that white America has an uncanny way of making the victim the victimizer. Excuse me, master, for putting my head in the way of your club. Not that your club is brutalizing my head and putting hickeys on it. My head got in the way of your free swing and broke your shiny stick, and I want to apologize for that.
Your life is the sum of a remainder of an unbalanced equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control, which has led you inexorably here.
There are more connections in the human body than there are stars in the galaxy. We possess a gigantic network of information to which we have almost no access.
Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the 6th version.
5 months before me. There are only 2 possible explanations. They were 5 months before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Control me! I'm gonna smash you to fucking You can't make me do anything like this.
Choice. The problem is choice.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
Because white people made him to be what he is. They made him to look evil. Because that's their role, to make all of us black people to look evil and to hate ourselves. I can't hate.
You're a nigga till you die. If you're a poor nigga, you're a poor nigga. If you're a rich nigga, you're a rich nigga. But you never stop being a nigga. And if you get to be educated, you're just an educated nigga.
I'm told every day I'm on air that I'm racist because I call out racism. That is maddening to me, and I'm crying about it because it's crazy.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching you and I and trying to tell the white man to get this powder keg out of his house. Let the black man separate from his house. Let the black man have his own house. Let the black man have his own land and his own property.
I thought the bitch was white! Damn it! I thought the bitch was white!
That's true.
I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites when they ask us, do we hate them? And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American or the American image. He thinks that everybody hates him because it's a guilt complex. And if you think that if you are worried about Europeans hating you, and they're your allies and your cousins, well, naturally, it would follow for you to think that Negroes in this country would hate you, especially in light of what has been done to black people in this country by white people.
Now, check it out. The white ball dominates everything, right? It knocks the shit out the yellow ball, the red ball, right? And the game's over when the white ball drives the black ball completely off the table.
But you have to see that all of this is hypocrisy.
I love Malcolm. Malcolm called me the Sunday that he died. I was working Basin Street East. He said, Brother Greg, you coming by today? And I said, Malcolm, I love you. And I said, I love you so much, I don't even want to take a chance to be there. He said, what do you mean, Brother Greg? I said, well, I closed tonight, Sunday night at Basin Street East. And I said, but I had my wife book me a flight into Chicago at 8 o'clock this morning. And I'm going to Chicago, and I had way beneath my salary booked me into a college about 10 miles from the airport. And I'm going to
go there and speak this afternoon, and I'm going to stay there until they tell me you dead. Because I'm not going to let this government get two of us for the price of one. And I'm going to call Adam Clayton Powell when I finish talking to you and beg him not to come there. Because today, the United States government is going to get you.